Welcome to episode 41, folks. We got H1 Unlimited's own Darrell Strong on with us. Also got a special guest and going to talk about the live stream initiative they're doing with H1 Unlimited this year. They're putting in a lot of time, effort, and money. Really excited about this program. Been talking to Darrell a little bit off air about what's going on and love to share with you guys. So let's go ahead and bring them on.
Hey.
Hey, Darrell. Hey, Corey. How y'all doing tonight?
Hey, guys. Great to be here.
Good.
So first off, Darrell, we'll lean in with you. What made you feel like this was the right move, kind of revamping the whole live stream? Why was it important for H1 Unlimited at this time?
You look at different racing and sports on TV, and it seems like we're better than a lot of what I see on TV, but I mean, I just got tired of hearing people say, you guys are still racing? People don't know we're racing. We have this incredible show, and we just got to get it out to more people. We got to recast. It's almost like we're rolling out a new sport, even though I watched my first race when I was 7, and that was in the decade of the 60s, let me tell you.
Hey, you dated yourself. We didn't do that for you.
Yeah.
Yeah, we agree. We've talked a lot about that on the show of like anytime we go up to a new fan and we're like, hey, we race hydroplanes. They're like, what? And we always go, remember the Miss Budweiser? Yeah. And that's kind of where our sports stayed.
Right, yeah.
So definitely these initiatives are needed on the media side of it. And I'll lean back to you, Corey. Obviously, you have a background as a producer. And how do you feel the YouTube streaming is actually more of a benefit right now than, say, traditional TV stuff?
That's a fantastic question. I'm really excited to take it basically to the internet platform. I have a really long background of building shows in kind of niche sports, and I definitely consider H1 to be one of those super niche where it takes a ton of creativity to basically make the sport happen. And it really is something that is underviewed right now and doesn't have the potential that I think it could. So I really am, fortunate to be part of this team and to actually bring this to the audience by developing kind of a new show format. So what we can expect is more of a traditional show flow, but instead of your 1 hour, 30-minute piece that's a feature, we're going to be live all day. So it's going to be the entire day, and we'll just have a rotating cast of characters coming through, and really excited about just the talent team and everything that we can develop out there.
Nice. Like, talk to us about that. Like, I don't know. What other sports have you done? And then is this going to be a challenge doing a, say, 5-hour show compared to other sports that are over in a couple hours?
I've pretty much lived a life of it started with big mountain backcountry skiing, where we started in about 2005, figuring out rudimentary ways to take that live from the backs of resorts or the backcountry with no infrastructure. We've been refining the craft and learning things every day since then. And as a matter of fact, right now I'm on the way down to the Mint 400, the Great American Off-Road Race outside of Las Vegas. And on particular days like that, my role in that's a technical producer and tech manager for the field. And our shows there are 9 to 12 hours, basically, depending on the day for Friday and Saturday. So it's definitely something I'm familiar with doing. Hydroplane racing is a new sport for me. At the end of the day, I'm a race fan, and I love developing shows in a manner that we can do small things that are going to have big effect. Over the years, HydroTown's built a great team, and I've loved everybody that I've met so far. I'm really excited to see what we can all kind of put together this year. But I think it's going to be a whole new experience for the fans, both at the event and those watching online.
Definitely. Now, back to you, Darrell. Obviously, we spoke before that this isn't just an H1 show. You're going to show every class of boats that is at any of these events, plus more of the event side of it and showcase the towns a little bit. Can you explain to us a little bit more about that?
Yeah, just I was always surprised that all we filmed was our H1 races. Although we just didn't have the manpower, we didn't have the equipment, we didn't have the batteries, all of that. And I think we just didn't have a mindset. But, I've talked to you, Brandon. I love every class. And I think if we're all together, we put on a really compelling show. But I mean, I think if they've made mistakes, they've tried to push just one race. I mean, you need to be. I mean, we need at least 5 or 6 classes at every race, and we all. Um, like I always say, I think the unlimiteds can draw a crowd, and I think we can't put on a show. You know, we have to be on the water every 15 minutes, and that's what the mindset of a viewer is right now. Is you can't. I mean, when I was a kid growing up in the Tri Cities, it was a party that got interrupted by a boat race every once in a while, but it's not that way anymore. It's I mean, you look on TV, we have to be out every 15, 20 minutes. We have to have a race starting.
Definitely, yeah. Today's day and age is so on demand to that they need action, otherwise they get bored.
And I will tell you, we interviewed 11 different freelance producers. And what stood out about Corey is he had done outdoor events and he'd worked with drones. And that's a whole different animal. And we're actually Corey's networks, and he's where he's a freelance producer. He's bringing in a lot of other professional people into the mix, and the great volunteers that we've had, and putting them all together. So you should ask him who we're bringing. I mean, I think we're upgrading it a lot. I'm really excited about the drones,
Yeah.
the extra drones that we're adding.
Yeah, that's I
Yeah.
think what's taken the sport to the next level already is some of the drone footage. It's not just watching a boat go by; it's actually seeing how it goes in the water, how it's in yaw, the whole straightaway, all these different things that you can't see from the shore. But yeah, definitely, Corey. What are the plans to upgrade the stuff, the people you're working with? How many kind of camera angles are we looking at to upgrade to this year?
I mean, the sky's really the limit, and what we've defined as what's practical and what's achievable is a mix of some stuff that has been in place that's going to be kind of like our far out corner shots, things like that, and then we're bringing in processes and pilots that we've refined throughout many of the off-road and professional ski productions that we do throughout the rest of our calendar year. And some of those is our operators build and engineer their own FPV and racing drones. So we're going to be able to achieve speeds of over 100 miles an hour with full output resolution, essentially. So that's something that's really exciting. So the boats will still outrun the drone eventually, but with a good glide slope coming in and bringing it in, we can cut basically from a cinema drone that's got a zoom lens on it, hands it off to a racing drone that really can zoom down and basically catch the enormity of the rooster tails and the speed that these things are pulling. That can hand it back off to a corner drone and or another fixed camera on the other side of the course, and then kind of reverse flow coming back out of the corner, another set of corner drones back to a racing drone, and then back kind of to our start finish orbital drone, cinema drone with a zoom lens on it. So it gives us a lot of options to cut to in the live show. We'll still have some fixed stuff on there, and we'll be able to cover greater distances because we also have kind of a proprietary use of satellite connectivity where we're doing our own encoding and decoding on site. So we can actually put fixed cameras further out on the course than is really achievable without running miles and miles of fiber optic line, and show the viewer basically new angles and new perspectives of the races. So it's really exciting to kind of have
Wow.
this technology and this kind of creativity with Darrell and his team at our disposal.
Sold.
Yeah, I
That
was gonna
sounds like
say the
the true
same thing.
21st century.
I
That's
told
Man,
what
that's
Corey,
all
I
awesome.
racing's
said,
been
I
missing.
said, as a fan, I go, you got to get coming out of turn two before the start.
Yep,
And if you're down low with that, that's the best shot in the sport,
for
is
sure.
where everybody lines up.
That sounds awesome.
Yeah, definitely. That is incredible. So, I guess with all that, obviously has to come a big investment into the trailer you guys are working on. Um, just tell the normal fans that don't really understand the work that goes into that. Obviously, we saw some videos you guys are already working on it. How many hours do you expect to put into that to get it ready to go to the first race down in Gunnersville or testing in Tri Cities?
We're functional with where we're at. We're 3.5 days in, and we definitely want to kind of double down on that and just work a lot of the data and network flow pass through to maximize the potential of that resource. Previously, before the show, was just traveled in cases. You know what we known in the industry as a fly pack. I've done plenty of those and own one myself. But when you do this rinse and repeat, where we have, including the test events, 6 events, it becomes quite labor intensive, and then you run the risk of every time you break something down and you put it back together, it doesn't go back together the same way. So we're extremely lucky that Darrell afforded us this opportunity to A, source the trailer, and B, build it out to spec that's really going to just be purpose built for H1. And we're doing it in a manner that will reflect the pretty much the same workflow that your traditional semi TV truck would do, just on a scale that makes sense for this event.
That's incredible. So for broadcasting, is it strictly going to be on YouTube, the H1 page? Where are we looking to live stream?
Our destination right now is going to be YouTube. We're working through basically kind of what our final formats and things like that will be. So that'll be kind of over the next coming month. But everyone will be able to find it through H1 and through YouTube. And as we grow, the sky's the limit. There's already discussions with distribution partners, and we definitely want to try to feature some other premium stuff somewhere else as we grow this. But right now, our focus is to build a new show that the fans and the industry really can believe in and identify with. So that's our top focus right now before we start looking to really find any kind of prestigious destination for it, and really build up the fan base and make it accessible and ready for everybody.
Yeah, I totally agree with that model. YouTube's got a ton of eyeballs on it, and that's what we need right now. Like Darrell said, you got to prove it to everyone that boat racing's still around. I think it's definitely a good model going forward.
Oh, it's
Austin,
great.
Bobby, you got anything to add?
Yeah, it's great. I mean, YouTube, YouTube people think that YouTube's an old thing, but it's starting to even get bigger now. I mean, especially like
Mhm.
YouTube TV. You buy any TV these days, they already have the YouTube app on it, so you can go on there. Um, Now we just need to start. When you guys start getting your link, we just gotta blast it all over the internet and social media to click on that link on this date, this date, this date, and then get some followers. It sounds like what you're going to do is it's pretty much going to be like watching NASCAR, but on YouTube of boat racing. It's going to be awesome. I'm excited. You got me excited. I'm just thinking about it.
Yeah, thanks, Bobby. And another cool thing we're going to be looking to feature is we'll be uploading it basically to a RTMP distributor. What that means is it will be managed off-site by an individual and an off-site server. So if there is a destination that would like to take it and not have it go through YouTube, they would be able to basically acquire that and have it directly encoded into their destination as well. So we want to make it flexible and attainable for a variety of destinations and people's use. Our focus right now will be to, the main crowd and to build it up, but there's a lot of possibilities that we can deliver.
That's incredible. So I think you mentioned you guys are starting at Tri Cities, the test session.
Yes, that's correct. So to what degree we will be live, we don't want to kind of guarantee a finished show because we'll still be working with a lot of new components, not just the trailer, but talent and camera and drone sequences and a lot of new technology in the field as well. So we'll be using the test event kind of as our test event, and we'll be kind of using that as an opportunity to go live as we are able, I would say.
That's incredible. Yeah, and I also obviously talking with Darrell prior to that all this footage you guys are capturing, like you said, is is going to be on a drive for some of our teams within the other classes to use, the race sites to use, because all this footage you're capturing, if you guys just kept it to yourself and posted what you post, doesn't get out there. So to be able to work again in unison, I think that's one of the coolest things I've seen in this project. I've been in boat racing a long time, and it's really cool to just see everyone working together for one common goal. Because more boats we can put on the internet, the better the show will be on the live stream, the more viewers, just more eyeballs we can get, and obviously all that returns in sponsorship dollars.
Yeah, you're exactly right. We're looking at kind of what our cloud destination will be for hosting and for the program record, but there will be something to that degree because the days of just traveling with hard drives and things like that are far behind us, and we're uploading the entire program via satellite anyways, so we should be able to downlink everything as well that way. So that's our goal there.
That's incredible. So, Darrell, I see how you were sold on this project and definitely
Yeah.
excited about it. What are some other thoughts you have on the marketing side of it to kind of bounce off of this live stream and into other things you're doing with the group now?
Well, we've hired somebody full time to do wrap up videos, and we're. I want to get a lot of stuff out there. Like we'll be releasing a video in a couple days. I'll give you a sneak preview here of the Madison race. I mean the Madison parade. I'm sorry. Just put that up. We got it on video, so we're going to show that, and kind of just give glimpses of the race sites. Really, we look at our sport as a bunch of festivals that have a race in the middle of it. But we want to really convey how much fun everybody's having there. Corey and I have talked a lot about we want to expand this into a lot of crowd shots. We would like to even build it to where we can have a roving person with a mic and a handheld camera out in the crowds. And I don't know if we'll get to that first year, but it's stuff like that where you look at. Corey was involved in X Games, and we talked a lot about that and the atmosphere that was in that event at the beginning, right, Corey, with the concerts, the fun, and I just think we have a unique niche, really of what we can convey, and I know in Corey, one thing about him that stood out in the interview process is he's already worked on a sport that did 7-8 hours of YouTube video and then an hour recap that went to a network. And so that's probably going to be the format we fall into. And I'll just let you drop names, Corey. How many different networks have you worked with right now?
I'd say all the acronyms you can commonly think of, we've done something over the years. So it's all been super friendly. There's a lot of great options out there, and it's hard to identify one that's more favorable over the other because they're all great. It'd just be who's most interested in pushing our sport the furthest, and that's kind of our best interest, in my opinion.
Definitely. Yeah, I think we obviously don't have Speed Vision anymore. The things we had back in the day, ESPN seems to be more of the sporting. But there's a lot of racing things, and like you said, the streaming platforms are coming up more and more every day. You can't really lock yourself in at this point. So again, back to the business model of doing the YouTube, building it, and then seeing where it goes is just. I commend you, Darrell, for doing that, putting the money where your mouth is to show it and prove it. It's really cool to be able to do that.
And I think if we can market ourselves as an extreme sport more than just a racing series, and I don't know, there's certain
There you go.
sponsors we'd like to talk to.
Yep.
Yeah.
I know I drink enough of that to keep their stock up, but no, I mean, it just seems like a different niche. You know what I mean? We started going after adrenaline type companies that sell adrenaline, because you look at all of our boats, every class, if you get the right shots and you get close enough, the unique thing about our racing is the water spray. In my mind, is really NASCAR doesn't have that kind of a experience, and I mean, just creates excitement when you see, and it doesn't matter what class it is. It's how you get the angles. It's how you get the shots, and I think that's a huge thing. I mean, I like to call our sport, magnificently violent.
Yeah.
That
Right.
there's a lot of violence there.
My,
There's a lot of-
my body can attest to that.
Yeah, I bet. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the
That's
things.
not all
I
on
mean,
the
right. So yeah, that's the things we've seen this year. Obviously, starting this podcast and then to being with HRL with some of their growth and just how they can we can post just a 20-second clip of a boat coming down a straightaway and it gets 1 million views on a reel. You look at Formula One, they can't really do the same, obviously, and they have thousands and millions of followers. So definitely, like you said, that uniqueness, if we can bottle it and sell it, these companies will catch on, and I think their eyeballs will be open at the end of this year.
Well, I've been to 4 F1 races. I've been to 3 Indy races. I've been to 2 NASCAR races, and they're boring as hell when you're live.
Yep.
I mean, if you're at an F1 race, I'm a big F1 fan, but you got to be by a big screen to even know what the hell's going on.
Yep.
Yeah.
And you look at our sport formats into 10-minute heats, and then we change. And just the fact that we're doing these short bursts of racing all day for 2 days, to me, is just a better show.
It almost makes a whole second show just within the pits when you
Yeah,
can
yeah.
film teams swapping engines and going crazy in between heats. That's a whole nother show inside of itself that we've.
Well, if you think
kind of
about it,
always
like
missed.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
F1's always had the money from the factories and the big name sponsors that we might not necessarily be able to get, but that show took off in terms of a fan base, or that sport took off in terms of a fan base when they put out that show on Netflix. And you got to see all the behind the scenes stuff. Like if you only watched the racing clips in that show, you would have no idea what happened during the season. It's all the interviews and the garage shots and everything that brought fans to that sport.
Yeah.
So I guess that leads into the next one. Are the H1 owners going to allow the cameras rolling near their stuff and see the behind the scenes to a point?
I've already I haven't talked to my crew about this yet, but I would love to. I actually had 2 guys at the Seattle race last year from the University of Connecticut, and they were part of the electric boat racing team.
Oh, yeah.
And they just have to reach out to me, and I said, yeah. And I invited them to Seattle, and they sat in our truck, our data truck. And that's probably some of the most compelling footage. They said, but if you would film what you guys talk about in here, we would watch it all day.
Yeah.
Because, you hear, and I thought, I'm willing to do that, if I got a sign off from my crew. Just some of the stuff when you're looking at data, I'm sure everybody here knows, I'm sure it's at your level too. In Unlimited, you have Wi-Fi, everybody gets the data reports. We can see everybody. You can overlay it. You can see where you got beat. All of that. It's the art of racing with your lights and bumping as you go down the straight. There's so many things that go into this sport that if we can get somebody inside our truck and they could just hear some of the discussions we have, like, okay, we got to go to a shorter gearbox here, or we're getting beat coming out of turn 1. I would love to get footage like that. Because it is compelling. I mean, you're just seeing the race, but what you're not seeing is the hour and a half where you're getting ready for that race.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, and I think you got to get some cameras on the dock when you get a little incident out on the water, and drivers don't come back and all happy and giddity and man, that was such a good race. He's such a good driver. No, you have to get the heat of the moment attitude going.
Be careful, we might get a swearing ban like the FIA.
Another interesting point to help capture that story too is we're going to be recording radio traffic. So we can try to use that to kind of highlight some of the story that's happening in racing, as
Yeah.
well give our announcers some sort of intelligence if there's a question of actually what was going on. So we'll be having our audio technician basically monitoring all that, so we can have more of that story in real time and just really keep the flow of the show going. So we're giving as much data and interactive experience as possible. And we're also currently working on new ways to make graphics and scoring more robust too, that just kind of elevate that part of the experience as well.
And
Oh, that'd be
replay.
sweet.
We
And replay.
we got more
Yep.
replay equipment.
Yep.
That'd be cool.
Awesome.
It sounds
Yeah, I know
good.
the old. Oh, go ahead, Bob.
It sounds good. It sounds like you guys have all your ducks in a row to produce a really good show. I'm excited. You had me sold from the start. You seem like you know what you're doing, and you have some enthusiasm about it, and that's pretty exciting. You know, there's other guys like Brian Montgomery. He's super excited about boat racing. So to bring you on board too, it just seems like it's going to be a good show all around, and hopefully bring hydroplane racing to the next level.
No, I'm super excited and very thankful for everybody I've met so far. I mean, it's just been fantastic conversations. There's a lot of camaraderie in this sport and also a lot of competition, and that drives a lot of that passion and makes that intensity that's in it. And that's what I love being a part of. And I'm, just again super thankful for everybody that's on the teams already, that we're working together with, because there's a lot of collaboration going on and lots of really good ideas all building to something really cool.
That's exciting. Yeah, I think that's what a lot of the Facebook warriors or people that comment sometimes don't see all of that. And that's what we love about doing this show, is kind of getting the behind the scenes, getting some of the details out. If anybody's watched this and they're not excited about it, they're definitely got their head in the sand.
I actually wish you were around last year, because there's some I'm not going to name any names, but there's some stuff going on in H1. There's some missed calls. If you were around, the story would have been explained a hell of a lot better, and these Facebook warriors wouldn't have been jumping on, oh, well, this and this and this. They would have been on, it would have just been a clean, it would have been great.
It would have had enough angles to tell 8 boat links, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's for sure. But it's exciting. So
yeah, and it's live TV at the end of the day. Even if it's not TV, we still follow a TV format, so to speak, and we'll make mistakes and there'll be bobbles here and there, but we'll get the right information out as best we can, as quick as we can. We're still doing this with a very passionate team and about half the hands of what a show that's putting out this many elements would typically be doing. So we've been very conscious to spend money wisely and invest in people and process, and not a whole bunch of extra equipment and things that we don't need. So there will be a lot of growth for each of us on it, but we're all real confident that we're going to have something really cool for you guys to be watching.
So have you been to a boat race yet?
I have not. The closest thing is I did Lucas Oil drag boats for Lucas Oil Studios for a little while, but no, I've not done anything H1 related. I've been to some P1 events, but I'm really excited because this is definitely just a whole edge of racing, and every little kind of niche bit of sport and racing that I've been part of in my career is something like that. It's just on the cutting edge of it. It's on the edge of what's possible. And without, a few people behind the scenes figuring out the engineering and figuring out how to drive these things and to really push the limits, it wouldn't happen. So I'm really excited to see these things in action. I'm sure I'm going to be absolutely in awe, and I'm going to have to step out of the trailer to actually get some eyes on it at the test event. But I can't wait to just to see him in person and to feel the roar, so to speak.
Don't worry, you're going to fall in love with Grand Prix.
Even louder.
Yeah, you better have good soundproofing in the trailer.
Yeah, we'll bring some pads for our microphones on that one
No,
to save the
Yeah.
ears of the audience.
You're gonna like all the classes. I mean, even when you get down to the smaller classes like 2.5 stock, 350, you know, even though it's at different speeds, it's still the same racing. It's still deck to deck, drivers pushing each other to the limit. It's just racing, right? So it doesn't matter what class. They are all awesome. So you're gonna like it. It's a cool sport, and everyone's welcoming. So you'll enjoy it.
One other
Yeah.
thing is to get interviews of more than just the H1 people on the docks. So catch all the drivers getting out. And I mean, the key is to develop personalities all the way up and down the classes.
That's awesome.
Yeah. We've been talking about that for a little while in various episodes. Like I think that's where boat racing's missed over the years is I said it a couple episodes. Like it's always going to be awesome that when boats go by, people cheer, but it'd be way cooler if it was a specific boat going by that made every person cheer. Like they're invested in a boat or a driver or a team, whereas it's not just the spectacle in itself.
Yeah, I mean, and you look through all our footage, we have so little shots of crowds.
Yeah.
In anything, and so I think Corey and I talked. It's have a drone specifically just doing crowds.
Yeah, because that's where the moments are, especially like places. Well, I think all the H1 events have crazy fans, but like Madison, you got that like Indy 500 snake pit vibe where everyone's partying, beer pong, cornhole, like that's an event in itself. It's encompassing all that, especially these brands, beer companies, Busch Light, stuff like that. That's what they need to see to know it's worth their value.
Yeah.
And Corey, did you say that what sponsors are looking for more than anything right now in a racing series is activation and demoing their product?
Yeah, there's two things that are really important to brands and their marketing, and it's not being an identity; it's actually being integrated. So, putting product in front of the fans. And what's really cool about H1 is just that culture and that lifestyle that is in the sport that is actually present at the venues. So that's a story that we need to tell to the external audience to help grow it. The other story we need to tell to everybody is just humanizing the drivers, like Darrell mentioned before, kind of as athletes. They're not just driving a boat. Like this is on the edge, right? This is risky. There's not everybody doing this or having the chance to do this. So we really want to humanize and tell the story of who are, these people that are making this happen, who's in the boat, who's behind, the scenes for each team. And the other thing that's really important to pretty much all the brands out there, you can look at any of the various properties that I've been a part of throughout my career. There's been a massive shift away from traditional terrestrial TV and into live. One particular event we had on a major network that we were live for the finals and for the main classes, which was great. We had, their data shows a couple 100,000 people watching on their channel. But then when we looked at the metrics from YouTube through the entire weekend, we had over 1.3 million people individually tune in where they were seeking out that content. So what's been very important to the brands and any of the partners involved is to be part of that experience and to have that experiential media that's out there. The social media game and all the press that's out there, the race happenings, the standings, the big news that's happened, it's out there in every sport right away. So brands don't have as much value in something that's aired 2 weeks later when everybody already knows what happened. You're watching, you know, a recap. And even I love the stuff that my team produces over the years. And I still don't even just find the excitement of watching the highly curated edited show as I do is rewatching the live and just having it on at the office for an entire day, because you're kind of re-experiencing it. It will have rough cuts, we'll have audio mess ups, we'll have, you know, announcer fumbles here and there, but that, you know, you're being there, you're with the event even when you're not there. And that's one thing we really want to develop and aim for, because that's where we really draw in the crowd, and that's where there's the most value for any partners incoming.
Yeah, I agree with that. One of the misconceptions I feel like over live streams over the years in boat racing have been from race sites that say, "Well, I don't want to have live stream because then it stops people from coming to my event." What's your take on that?
Haven't had any kind of measurable data that would support that to any kind of statistical significance. I'm never going to not go to an event that I'm a fan of because I can watch a live stream and sit at home. I'm going there because of that fan experience that you guys were all just talking about, and the snake pit and things like that. And every little, you know, race has its own cool little corner for everybody. And that's what people are there. And it's the camaraderie of the industry. You know, you see all the people that you're friends with, or yeah, if you're, you know, family friendly event, they get to come out and meet the drivers or see the sights and do the things. And that's something that can't ever really be replaced by the digital media. And that's something that we want to use the live production to promote people to come to a race, because it is that cool to witness these things in person and just really drive that point home. Obviously, everybody can't go to every race, so this is the next best thing. Is kind of what's in the aiming sights.
Yeah, I think you're exactly right. You're driving traffic to the next race. If it's someone that they're watching Gunnersville and all of a sudden they're like, "Wow, this is really cool. Madison's not that far away from me. I'm gonna go to Madison
Hmm.
next weekend or in a couple weeks." Like it's driving traffic to the races, not away from the races, in my opinion, too.
Yep.
And we have
And
fans all over the world. I
Yeah,
mean, our fourth largest viewing country on our videos on YouTube are Thailand.
yeah,
So,
Oh,
They have
I
a
mean,
lot of boat racing over there.
yeah.
Little
that's
boat.
a lot of
crazy.
water.
Different type of
that's
boat
wild.
racing.
They go crazy.
No, I think my point to the sites that say the stream takes away from people coming to their race just don't have a good enough fan experience at their race.
Right, I agree with that.
If you have a good enough fan experience, people are going to come one way or the other.
But we got to tell that story though. We got to get that
Yeah.
story out and show people who haven't been to a race on what you see at while you're at a race, and the crowd, the excitement, and what we have to offer in person.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and like you said about the Drive to Survive series now, and I mean, I think if you look at all motorsports and probably sports in general, they're not really focused as much on the action. It's all the things around the action that they post like later on Facebook, social media, stuff like that. It seems like that it's trending in that direction where it's more than just what you're putting product you're putting on the water in this instance.
Yeah, like Corey said, you're humanizing the sport.
Yeah.
People care about
Yeah,
that because
that's
it makes it relatable.
Yeah, that's exactly right, Kyle. And one thing I always like to say is with every story, there's a beginning, middle, and end, right? The middle of this is the racing action. Before we even get to racing, we need to paint a picture of who, what, when, where, why, and how before, you know, the clock hits zero and we're into full throttle action. So it builds up that emotion, it builds up that suspense for, you know, a big crescendo when everyone's hitting top speed. And then our end is the competition standings, like who did well, where does that put people, what's coming next. And that's kind of the story that we aim to tell with each heat, with each show day, and each event.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I think you're gonna have to sit down with the referees. You're gonna have to sit down with Corey, Jeff Bernard, Jay Michael, Jamie Nielsen, all these guys that are really good at getting lane one and learn how to paint a picture of how the starting procedure works. Because that's what fans complain about most, and it's easily explainable. And I think what you're doing from your side, you can show that. And I mean, even fans on the shore, you can kind of have video graphics that show them how this all works. I think your town can do it. We've talked about doing it with Chasin Tails and getting on the hydro sim and doing it. We just haven't followed through.
Austin did one.
Yeah, he
Yeah,
did
we're
one.
not
You
going to
did.
talk
You
about
did.
that.
That was
We're not gonna talk
a
about
high
wasn't
profile
bad.
episode, Austin.
that. We're not going to talk about that. That was a rough one.
No, I really like that suggestion. And as Darrell was mentioning earlier, he's provided a full-time video producer, editor, shooter. And one of the big things that we've identified is a series of stories, which we call features. So when we're between heats, if we don't have any kind of local races or things like that to cover, we're going to have our announcers basically tossed to some piece that is going to answer questions like that, or show something new, or get to know a different driver. So we're going to be building over the coming months a bunch of feature content to fill those gaps. And we can also be bringing people in to the broadcast desk and having basically guest broadcasters and live interviews going on. So that way we're filling the entire day with valuable content.
Awesome.
Like that.
So I guess I'd lead into the next question. Is there a specific, a standard live stream announcer versus like the at race announcer?
Darrell, do you want to field that one?
Well, our live stream announcer would be Brad Luce, at least for the H1s. And I think we're really fortunate to have somebody that passionate. I call him our John Madden, and we can pair him with anybody. And he, I mean, some races, it's interesting in Gunnersville, he will also simulcast onto the the PA system. But in Gunners or in Madison, we're totally silent on our live feed at the race, and we're just doing our live feed, but you can't hear us at all. And so I think right now every race site's different. We actually have some race sites, believe it or not, since they've seen the truck and everything, have said, hey, maybe we should work with you instead of the local TV stations. And so that's something that might develop over the next year or two. And so did that answer your question, Brandon?
Yeah, I think a little bit. I think we'll figure it out as it goes, kind of.
Yeah,
but
pretty
it's
much.
good. Yeah, that's cool. So I guess on the live stream, I think everything's been said. I guess to wrap it up on that side of this part of the interview, how many people, and I guess how many equipment, how many cameras are you planning to have, just to wrap it up on that?
Well, we're looking at two main fixed kind of longer lens cameras, one start finish, one basically on the back of the track. That's kind of really focused on the long shot, where we're doing dual output or dual format cameras. So we're going to have a live image coming out, connecting back to the trailer over Starlink. And then we'll also be recording 4K cinema in camera, basically for our edits after the fact for our highlights. So we're going to get the cinematic in camera, but we'll still be outputting and shooting for live. So kind of two birds with one stone. We'll have our remote reporter camera going around as well, just as with last year. And we're looking at the 2 referee drones will be sourceable for us, but then another 3 drones that are actually directed and choreographed during the racing. We'll have a number of cameras on our on-air talent, as well as some pannable and robotic lock-offs for our scenic and our crowd experience.
Sweet.
Wow, awesome.
I think the big thing is, think of this, Brandon, where this will be the first time everybody has something in their ear. I mean, at this point, we don't do that. And so everybody can hear Corey's voice. Okay, go here. Okay, I'm going to count down to 5. Now we're going here. And that seems so basic, but we've never done it. We've told drone flyers, hey, just go over where you want. And that you can tell when you watch a video, it's just not quite in sync.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's going to be a huge benefit. Obviously, if you haven't seen the photos on obviously Strong Racing's, and I think they're on H1 as well, the production trailer, and how many monitors are in that thing? Is it like 14?
Oh.
I didn't count them.
Yeah, it's a few.
So
might be 2 more under the desk that aren't up yet.
There you go. So you got your eyes on everything and every camera. And seeing where the best shot is. That's obviously your job to make sure that's packaged right. How many people on the crew are you expecting to do this?
Well, we're gonna, we've got a really good existing team in place that's been working really hard over the years to produce what has been seen. Again, my biggest part is identifying what has been the most effective for equipment investment that's going to put out a good show. And again, we're fortunate that Darrell has backed this thing 100% for us to achieve. And we'll be bringing in a couple additional specific drone pilots that can interface with the existing drone pilots and to create basically seamless coverage of it. Because again, the boats will outrun the drone. So with a proper format, we'll be able to cover the whole thing and still have really good cutaways in the corners to fix cameras. So that would give us 5-6 operators externally, and then we'll be running a 4-person production crew in the trailer. So that's a technical director making the switches, graphics operator, replay, and an audio technician.
Awesome.
Wow. That's a setup.
Yeah.
I'm gonna stick to just get my GP ready, and I'll handle that. and driving, I can't do all that technical stuff. We have a hard enough time with this podcast. So yeah, folks, if you're not excited about the live stream, like I said earlier, your head's probably in the sand. I think we're going to pivot this episode a little bit more into Darrell's background. Corey, obviously, like I said earlier, if you want to stick on and listen to Darrell and how he got in the H1 Unlimited and all that stuff, you're welcome to. If you want to hop off here, feel free. But Darrell, let's talk a little bit about your business background. What did you do for a living that lead you to be able to run H1 Unlimited?
I started out as an insurance agent at age 25, and I'll be 65 in May. And I pretty much run an online third-party administrator for health insurance. Still do that. Probably one of those idiots that'll never retire. And in fact, boat racing is pretty much guaranteed that.
Yep.
Yeah. So, no, it feels like some days I spend more time on boat racing than I do on my business. But we have a great business. I think we have about 18 employees that work all over the United States. And so I usually have some employee in every area of every race. So we always have some coming and joining us. And I work in an airplane hangar most days with my car collection. No plane. I don't, no plane, but a lot of cars, a lot of Porsches. So it's a rough life, let me tell you.
Yeah. So what is your business called? What's the name of it?
Pinnacle Peak Administrators. And I have to get a website up. We've just never advertised that much, and so, and don't look at the Strong Racing website yet. It's all last year's stuff. I got to update that too.
It's okay. Your focus has been in better positions for the rest of us. So for the boat racing side of it, I think you said you were at a race at 6 or 7 years old. What led you to this journey to now be involved in H1 Unlimited, not only as an owner, as a promoter as well?
That's what my therapist keeps asking me. No, if you grew up in the Tri-Cities, that was the biggest event of the year. And so there is a lot of motivation to make sure it doesn't die. And you probably saw our release today that I've become partners with Bruce Ratchford from Apollo, another guy from the Tri-Cities, and we're both passionate about it, that we don't want it to die. We love it. I mean, and we're like you. I mean, we've just been in it our whole life. But what led me to end up here was I actually was reading the paper sometime probably 10 years ago, probably 15 by now. I don't remember. And there was a boat. It was a Webster boat. If Steve and Susan are watching, hi. And there was an article in the paper that they didn't have a sponsor. And I turned to Vanessa and said, I'm going to go down there. I'm getting in my car and driving down to the pits and offering them money. So I did. I went down and offered them money, and they took it. And we put Payne West Insurance on the boat, the place I worked at, and that was a great relationship. Just getting to be in the pits, was a big deal for me. And then I moved to Greg O'Farrell, and I sponsored his boat for a while with Payne West Insurance. It's really cool is I just saw that somebody did an RC boat of Darrell Strong presents Payne West, and I thought, I've arrived. My name is on an RC boat. And then I don't know what somehow in all the talking we decided to buy a boat, and it's very interesting. We were going to buy one boat, and we ended up going through a bunch of vetting, a bunch of things. Ended up with talking to Mike Jones and buying the boat that Corey drives, the 9 boat, Beacon Plumbing, and we were happy. I mean, we had hats made that just had the letter 9 or number 9 on them, and we were going to be a one boat team. And we picked Corey. We didn't really know anybody. Corey was the backup driver for Graham Trucking, and he drove the 98 boat, which was a sled, and he was lucky get it out of the water. And we really didn't know what we had in Corey, and he's turned out to be a fabulous driver and somebody I trust with the whole team. And it was interesting how many people actually followed Corey to our team. I didn't know anybody at that point. And then in the course of that, we actually, Angela Kelly, if you remember, had an aneurysm when they were racing in Arizona, and they ended up in she ended up in the hospital in Phoenix, and we live here. And Corey was telling me about it. And you guys probably know Corey and Mike, J. Mike O'Kelly, really known each other since kindergarten, and they were neighbors. And so I reached out to Mike. I didn't know him. And he was there with his boys, and we started having him over to the house. And then Corey actually started flying down, Corey Peabody, to be with Mike on the weekends. One thing led to another, and the next thing you know, we're buying a second boat, and Mike's the driver. So I just shortened up the story quite a bit, but it's and they're all like family. Those boys are like sons to me, and I mean it's just. And Angela recovered, which was a miracle. I have told him, hey, you got to come back down here, Angela, when you're awake. It's a nice town.
That's a good one. Yeah, so you dove in, both feet in, obviously. What have been some of the biggest challenges you've faced? Obviously, you've assembled a really good team around you, a lot of good people. But what do you think the biggest challenges you faced being an owner are?
People say mean things about me. No. No,
You gotta have thick
actually,
skin.
I don't mind that. I appreciate the passion of everybody on the internet and all the fans. And probably it was more expensive than I thought it would be. I mean, I said it's like an unlimited boat is like taking a Ferrari to a roller derby match. It seems like. And it's just a multi-million-dollar boat that you're just not going to get the sponsorships that they got in the 90s. But the thing is, my sponsorships have grown by 5 times. And to get a guy like Bill Cahill from Beacon Plumbing and Electric, who's just an avid fan, and we so appreciate having him. But to get somebody like that, to get to a point where we could earn somebody's trust like that, because I feel you have to be worth it before you're going to get the money. But probably I didn't know anything about it. Like Corey likes to say, we didn't even own a screwdriver. When we started this, and then we bought boats, and we had to make everything. And we have a 20,000 square foot shop now. We've had to fabricate so many things, and I think what I learned more than anything, it's the people more than the equipment that you win with. Um, to get people like the Campbell brothers, and they've forgotten more than I'll ever know about a boat and boat ride. I mean, really, to win as many races as we have without having the most horsepower says a lot. And to learn that moving the skid fin, I'm learning. My crew's probably laughing when I'm trying to talk about this. But you can move a skid fin like an eighth of an inch, and it affects the speed of your boat.
Yep.
You know, and it's and that the most important thing in this sport is the balance of your boat, probably even more than the horsepower. Um, and then I mean, I love this sport growing up, but not like I love it now, because now I get to see so many more things, and we talk about little things, and you're like, really, a rudder does that much? You know, and when Mike's boat a couple years ago, I had a great picture of it where it looked like it's going around a corner. Then I realized it was on straight. That's what a bad rudder will do.
Yeah.
You know, but I don't know. I mean, I've just learned so much about what it takes to go fast. And to me, there's a lot of similarities between the unlimited class and even F1, in that we have some broad parameters, but you get a lot of leeway in how you design something, and there's a lot of creativity on aerodynamics, and you have a minimum weight, but it's amazing how smart the people on our crew are and what the ideas they come up with. So I think I've learned, when I tell anybody who wants to get in the sport, it's the people that are harder to get than the equipment.
Oh, for sure. For sure. I mean, just seeing, I never knew it. I thought the 9 was a pretty new boat until someone posted pictures, and it was one of the 3 wing boats. At one point, I'm like, wow, that was a total transformation to now being one of the faster boats. And
Hey,
when we built our Grand Prix, I had the pleasure to talk to the Campbell brothers about some things I wanted to try when building it, and just the knowledge they had and the passion to share it with me. Obviously, we're not a competitor, but I mean, you don't want any of your secrets getting out. And some of the stuff, it was really cool just to hear, not only, hey, do this, it'll make your boat faster. The whole thought process behind it was really neat.
well, I take Corey Peabody. Thank you for starting the rebuild of your boat by the demo in Madison. And you flip that boat, and all of a sudden, I mean, Jeff Campbell comes to me and says, we have a list we've been putting together on what we'd like to do to this boat for like 10 years. Nobody's let us do it. And I go, do it. You know, it's like, but when they took the decks off, there were still parts of that third wing in that boat. And so that all got taken out.
It's crazy.
And I think that I think it's the best hull. It's the prettiest boat on how it rides in the water.
Mm-hmm.
But, you know, the red boat's close too. And that's a testament to everybody on our team when you can get a boat that runs flat like that.
Yep.
Um,
Yeah, I think J. Michael, I've said it time and time again that he is the best at flying a boat. To do what he does at like Madison and stand on the dock and watch it, you can just see the air under it. He's good at what he does.
And I was talking to Dave Billwalk, and this personifies both of our drivers, that what makes you fast at this level is you can't lift when you can't see.
Yep.
And that's unique. I think we have so much more water at the unlimited level that sometimes you can't see and you can't lift your foot,
Mm-hmm.
and or you're dead, and you know, you're not going to win. And the courage it takes, you know, to go that fast. We're going to probably be touching 200 miles an hour, you know, on the straights. It's mind-boggling. And both those drivers, I mean, we're lucky to have both of them, and they're different. You know, they're very different. And I think J. Michael kind of speaks for himself. You know, he's just been an iconic driver in the sport. And I think Corey's surprised a lot of people in the last couple of years.
For sure. I'll be one of them.
Yeah.
He surprised me a lot. Boys, you got anything to add before I keep going?
No,
Bobby's
no,
about.
I'm
What,
just listening.
you ain't got no rants to go on yet?
Man, I
Well, Bobby always goes on a rant in every
I
episode, so you haven't got him on anything yet. He might start talking assigned lanes here shortly. You never know.
no.
I'm open to anything, I'll tell you. I mean, it's in our sport at our level, it's split about 50-50. And I can honest to God tell you, um, I like fight for lanes, but I want what's best for the sport. So let's let it play out. Let's see what
Yep.
happens. We're going to stay with that format another year. And, you know, there's definitely a skill set to it, and our drivers are very good at it.
Yeah.
So, but I'm just one vote. That's something, like we said, that's an H1. That's not a HydroTown thing. And I'm just one vote, you know, out of the whole board. So
Actually, that brings me into another thing. You had a new referee in H1 last year. Obviously, we know him very well. How do you feel that went, having a fresh new face in the sport?
I think, you know, I think Jonathan's, we were lucky to get him. I mean, he was thrown into the fire because I think we weren't all together in terms of, and the rule book had a lot of discrepancies in it, and Jonathan had to deal with all of that. And I think the money, the sponsorship's a lot bigger at this level, so people get much more passionate about wins and losses. And but the great thing is this off season, um, the referees worked together with some of the crew chiefs, and they went through the whole rule book. They're what I love is they're all on the same page, and coming into Gunnersville, they all know each other. Um, and no, I think that is probably a job. You couldn't pay me enough to do that job. You
No
know, that
doubt.
is a hard job. And the fact that um, you know, Jonathan wants to come back and do it again, and that he's solidified himself with our crew chiefs and everything. I think he did a fabulous job. And as a new guy coming in by San Diego, he had won over the whole sport. So kudos to him. You
Yeah,
know,
we definitely like him down in the HRL ranks, and just it's the same for everybody. Doesn't matter who you are or what you do. It's if it's a bearing out, cutting off penalty, it's clear as day, and he calls it the way he sees it.
yeah, he's a good guy, and you need that. You really need that kind of strong referee to keep credibility in this sport.
For sure, for
Agreed.
sure.
Yeah, you need one that's consistent with the calls too.
Yeah,
You know, yeah, I think that's the biggest thing that gets under my skin as a driver. That you know, you'll see someone get called for something, but if someone else does it, they don't get called. The key to a good referee is being consistent, sticking to your guns all the time, calling what you believe is right and wrong, and not wavering from that.
and I think having the extra camera work. I mean, I think uh, it's just going to make it easier for them. And what I like is we give them 10 minutes after a heat is over to you know, make their decisions, and then we stick with them. Whatever happens is what happens, you know. And the worst thing in this sport was when 2 hours later they come back and
Or days later
change a
with
call and go
lawsuits.
take a trophy out of a sponsor's hands.
Oh
You
yeah,
know, it's like I heard many times in sport, sponsors are okay not winning, but they don't like being embarrassed.
Yeah.
And you got to stick by whatever it is, good or bad. You know, after that 10 minutes.
for sure. Yeah, I'm
Agree.
100% agreement with that. I want to go back into your journey into the bow racing and how you got to see more of it from a in-depth perspective, and you also talked about Beacon Plumbing getting more involved. I think that's something that again is unique with our sport, and try to get these sponsors in and see how much of a family it is. Obviously, I've talked a lot on here that I've raced all different kinds of motorsports, but this one is where the family is. Even that guy that you're racing and cut you off that heat, you might be mad, but then a couple hours later you're having a beer with them. Like, that is the most unique thing about boat racing. And is that what kind of keeps you going, keeps your passion going.
Yeah, and I always say owners should stay out of that. It's not our fight. Those drivers will make up in a couple hours. The owners would want to stay mad for a couple weeks. So I just try to stay away from it. I mean, because I know they're going to be texting each other in a couple hours, and they'll get over it. And they're the ones on the water, and they're the ones that had it happen to them, not me. And so I try not to have any feelings that way, and let them make up. And they always do.
Yeah. Me and Bobby have had our fair share of run-ins, and we are family, but it's taken a couple weeks for us to recover sometimes. So I think kind of to wrap up this episode, what is your goals besides just the live stream and what you're doing there? What do you want to see growth-wise in H1 Unlimited?
I think the best thing and the worst thing about our sport, and that fits into my goals, our history. I love our history. I'm a part of our history. My first boat I rooted for was Miss Bardall in 1968. Eagle Electric won the first race I ever saw, which ended up being Pampac, later. But I also think our biggest competition is our history. So it's like our greatest asset, and we should always include these vintage boats in as many races as we can. But let's not put ourselves in the box where we have to try to recreate our most successful era. We're going to turn out to be something different, I think, than what we were. I think one thing is we have to really focus on all of us, all the classes putting on a show together. I would love to see us get back to, where everybody can actually, at least break even in this sport, which would be nice. And maybe make some money. But I would love to see us capture the national attention again. And like I said, we'll be a niche sport, but we're cool. I mean, this is cool. I've taken, have you guys done this? I've taken people to mostly the San Diego race from Phoenix, and they're blown away by every class. They've just never seen anything like that live. And so my goal is to, have 8 great races, have more of a partnership with offshore boats, with F1 boats, with GPA and with the 5 liters and 2 5s, the 1s, even T boats, I bought 4 of those suckers. So,
that's one thing I gotta say. Your support through the smaller classes is tremendous. I applaud it. I appreciate it. Especially in T-boat class, because bringing new kids, new blood into the sport, especially the kids, we need that. We need that more than ever. And just watching these young kids get out of boats after they race, it's pretty cool to see. So thank you for that. It's really awesome.
I plan on going to Valleyfield this year. I'm working out my schedule, so like everybody says, you got to go. You got to go.
There
so
you go. There you go. Now
going.
Just make sure you root for the GP35.
Whose boat is that, Bobby?
Hey, like I said, your crew members have some design in it. So technically, it's kind of like a little bit of a strong racing boat, since we took some of the stuff off your boat and put it on a Grand Prix. we watch everything.
I heard there was an Australian boat, somebody told me, that looked pretty close to ours too.
New Zealand.
New Zealand. Yeah.
Yep.
Well, that's a compliment. I mean, if we ever get back to Detroit, and trust me, I've worked hard on that. And hopefully someday we can get back there. I'm putting Tubby's Pizza or Tubby's Subs back on that 9 boat. Since Mike Hansen won the Gold Cup there in 2001 in that hull, and it was Tubby's Subs. So I thought,
oh wow,
I'll do it for free. I'll put Tubby subs on that just because I think they're still around. Is what I
they
hear.
are.
So
Yep.
yeah,
That'd be cool.
That's cool. And I think, not to kind of keep it going here, but with what you're doing with the live stream, obviously will eventually take pressure off of race sites financially. Obviously, it's a big ask what we have to get from them for all classes to go to these events. But if we're bringing in actual sponsorship dollar to title sponsor, you can actually go to more race sites and say, hey, look, we're going to put on a show. This is what it is this year. We want to grow over 3 years to this amount, but we need to start somewhere with you. And I think that's where what you're doing is, again, putting a platform to where you can grow to different avenues or get back to sites we really need back, like Detroit.
you can't run the sport on the gate or the race, what we get from a race site, and you can't charge the race sites more money because it's just not feasible.
Yeah.
So we have to do like every other series has ever done. We have to get series sponsors. We have to get media sponsors. I mean, NFL teams don't pay the quarterbacks $50 million a year based on the gate.
Right.
It's the TV contract.
Yep.
Yep.
Hold on.
That's true.
And college games. now they're getting paid
Right.
that too.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that wraps it up. I think we learned a lot about the live stream, your background and racing, your business, all that stuff. We're excited for the season. Obviously, we'll be in Gunnersville, Madison. Hopefully, our GP heads west this year. Looking forward to that if we are able to pull that off, and just want to be a part of this. Obviously, what you're growing is exciting. Boys, you got anything else to add before we wrap this thing up?
No, I'm excited. Look forward to see Corey what you can do. It sounds impressive, and I'm sure it will be. So it's definitely the future is bright with boat racing with you on board. So
Yeah, I like what you guys said about, in terms of the live stream, bringing in more of the fan engagement, the stories, kind of behind the scenes stuff. We've talked about it repeatedly on the show and with other people involved in HRL. And I think that's another thing that they're looking into, just trying to humanize the sport. And I think that's a key to improving this thing and, taking it to a different level.
And I'll do one more shout out to my new partner, Bruce Ratchford. He literally saved the Seattle race. If he wouldn't have stepped up, I don't think it would have survived. So the fact that he's partnering with us makes a lot of this possible. He's the kind of guy, when you get to meet him, he lights up the room when he walks in. He's he's there. And I'm really excited. I would love to get a few more people like Bruce back into the sport, and have a really strong base to add to the owners we have now.
Hey, Darrell.
I think you go ahead, Bob.
Darrell, when are you going to get a GP, bud?
Yeah, I know. You've been talking to Grindel, haven't you? I did tell Mike, we were talking one time. I go, yeah, I bought a 5-liter, don't you? And he goes, you bought it from me. And I go, oh yeah, that's right.
Hey, but if you want a GP, talk to Brandon. He can build you one. It looks just like your boat, just like the 9. So
I got to start making a little bit of money first on these.
Stop paying your drivers so much, and you can afford a GP.
Okay, yeah, you're probably gonna get a call right after this.
His phone's ringing now. Bobby's gonna be like, "Sorry, I didn't know we were still live."
Yeah.
But yeah, it's exciting. We definitely appreciate you guys coming on. Look forward to hopefully all the fans. I know Hydro News will probably post a little recap of this tomorrow, and I hope all the fans get behind what you guys are doing because it's super exciting and look forward to this year.
All right.
Yeah, appreciate you having me on and getting to chat with you guys, and send any of the ideas for what you guys want to see as fans over to us, because we want to deliver the best experience possible. So it's been a pleasure being on this evening, fellas.
Thanks, man. Appreciate you.
Thank you, guys.
All right. Thank you.
Yep. Have a good
Thanks,
one.
Joe.
Chat seems pretty excited that what's going on and everything that is developing with H1 and the internet. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. It's exciting. I don't. That episode was pretty good. I mean, if you're not excited about boat racing in general, H1 obviously stepping their game up this year. Um, we've had different talks about how we're stepping our game up with Chasin Tails Challenge and other things with HRL. I mean, the sport is in probably the best position it's been in a long time.
Oh
Agree.
yeah, yeah. I mean, they're heading up H1. They're trying to grow that back and hopefully in the next year or so it is we have a lot of competition on the water. GP's taken off. GP is there. Um, so that's going to be exciting. And then like I think a lot of race sites are starting to catch on. H1 race sites starting to catch on. You just can't have H1. You need
Right.
you need at least 3 to 4 classes to put on an event all day. I mean, you can only do so much beer drinking as a fan and watching water just sit there with no boats on the water. So
Yeah.
Staring at a
the
bridge
fan
on the live
engagement
stream.
is what's gonna kick it up a notch, and I think it's gonna be really good. It's gonna be really good, especially with the Hondas. I had to toss it in there.
I was
I had
Uh,
So
but yeah, I mean, it's what I've said multiple times to different people. It's HRL GPA working together, and then H1. We've never had it. There was times we'd be in Detroit, and them H1 guys wouldn't. And this maybe I don't even know if it was called H1 back then, but they didn't even want you near them. Like, and
Yeah.
now it's all together, all going for one goal. It's really cool.
yeah,
And I really can't wait to see some of them personalities. I don't know. Some of them don't really have many personalities, but we're going to have to fake it. Fake it till we make it.
They just got to get the right person.
man.
Just need
You know,
Johnny Leash
I
and
was told
Unlimited.
by Unlimited owner that I need to work on my interviews, and I'm sitting here, I'm like, have you watched any of these guys in H1?
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
Are you kidding me? It's like, man. That's
Everyone
rough
needs a
crowd.
course in
Rough
PR.
crowd.
That's what the NASCAR and Indy guys, those guys suck at them too.
Like, look, I
Yeah,
might
unless
not
their
be,
adrenaline's pumping, they're like, duh.
I might not be politically correct or groomed for the camera, but I'll give you something for the camera though.
As long as there's a beat
Exactly.
button.
I'm gonna get.
That sounded bad.
I
That
I
sounded
guarantee
bad.
I might not give you something you're proud of, but I'll give you something that's viral.
Right. Oh, that's even worse. That's even worse. Penicillin.
Yeah.
Man, the show.
Viral means different things these days. I'm talking social media, not like
man,
that.
I was thinking, man, this episode just went sideways. Shit.
Well, we don't need to
But-
sit on here and chat that long. You guys got any closing thoughts before we hop off? And I just, once again, we don't have a guest scheduled for next week. We're gonna have to. We got a few ideas.
I do have to say something. He was going on about his drivers fighting for lanes. I will bang sponsons with those guys any day, anytime, anywhere, any class.
Didn't they see? Here's the thing, though, with their drivers. I forget which one's on the radio, but they just lost their radio man. Jeff Bernard was their radio man. Jeff's
No, it's Timmy Collins.
Timmy Collins.
Is it Timmy? Oh, he knows what he's doing.
I don't care. I don't care. I don't care. Radio guy, no radio guy. Let's go.
That's it.
Have you ever actually
Earbuds out, earbuds
radio
in. It don't matter.
My radios even work half the time? No.
He surely didn't in Tonawanda.
It don't matter. It don't matter.
Don't
Just
get my
gotta-
dad started
just gotta-
on that one.
Just got to reinforce those sponsons a little bit, Brandon.
That's it. It ain't gonna break again.
It just
That's
pulled
for
the
dang
old Miss
sure.
Madison from the movie, get some sheet metal on the side, and
That's it. Yeah. It would have had sheet metal if we weren't so far out of the points race. There would have been some get over.
I was seriously, I think I asked, I was like, can I go get a street sign? I'm like, we will bend it around, screw it, bolt it.
It would have worked.
5200, 5200. I'm telling you, just keep the boat out of the water. You don't need it. You don't need that side of the sponson.
That's it.
Nope.
Maybe
Not
we
once,
just
not
cut it
ever.
off. Maybe just cut it off.
Lidico did with his boats. Remember, just shaved
Yeah.
the side off.
Yeah. Oh,
Maybe that's how his 350 is going to come out. He's going to Lidicodize it.
no, it's painted. Ain't
So
getting
now,
touched
is it?
anymore. We seen the finished paint. I believe you guys showed it last week. Do you not remember last week's episode, Bobby?
Yeah, we did show last week.
Just like Austin. Austin texted the next day with that yellow boat and was like, "Whose boat's this?" And Kyle's like, "Dude, we looked at that last night."
Hey, you guys are talking to the no memory, the goldfish over here.
He forgot that episode as soon as it was over, just like he's gonna
Yeah.
forget the.
Oh, 100%. I'm gonna hit print on this 3D thing, and then everything's gonna just go.
That's it.
What are you making? What are you making on your 3D printer?
I'm about to print out a little hydroplane. It's actually
Oh.
like the Y19 hull out west.
You need to print up a little middle finger and put it on the end of the wing, so when the wing starts going up, the finger comes up.
That's what
worry,
I
got
just told him
ideas.
that. I just told him before this episode. I was like, I had my 3D printer here once, and one of the episodes, I was just gonna have it start printing one, and like by the end of the episode, it'd be fully printed. I might get canceled.
Yeah, awesome.
But yeah, that was definitely an exciting episode. I think we're at the point of wrapping it up. We got a couple ideas of some guests for next week. Got to reach out to them, see if they're in town available. I know I talked to Robin and Stu Shane today. They were by our shop, and Jimmy's coming up their shop this weekend, I think, to work on J stock. So maybe swing in and talk to him a little bit, or at least get him on the podcast. He said, I want to get on there and I want to talk about, building hardware and oil pans and all this. I was like, buddy, with all this Miss Madison drama, you think we're going to talk about fabricating
Talk about oil
and
pans.
spaceships?
We're going to fabricate something, but it is not.
Hey, we just don't start rumors around here. That's the only thing we don't do.
Yeah.
Bobby's
Bob
reading.
back to
It might
staring
be
at
a while.
the
Yep. At it again.
That's the whole last episode, man.
just like this.
The whole thing.
So you guys got any closing thoughts? I got the end button ready.
Yeah. The only thing I'll add is I think it's cool just finally getting to talk like some behind the scenes stuff. H1 like with I don't know if they're the two series are talking, but a lot of the stuff that HRL said and a lot of the stuff that they just said tonight are the same or at least very similar. And I think it'll be cool to see those guys feed off of each other, see what works, what doesn't. And, get to try.
I think they got the
two different
same
environments. It happens.
got the same people involved with the same visions and just kind of moving visions to where they think the next step is, and it's going to be really cool to see, and especially like the races like say Tonawanda and Seattle, they run against each other, so I'm sure you're going to see H1 on the HRL stream sometimes and HRL on the H1 stream. That'd be pretty unique.
Yeah.
Everyone's got to work together because if we want this sport to go somewhere, we all have to work together. HRL's not going to get there working by themselves. APBA, H1's not going to get there working by themselves. It's all got to work together. We're Chasin Tails Podcast.
That's it. We're the driving force.
Come on.
We make it happen. That's
Let's
all
go.
I can say. So yeah. Well, this.
Oh,
wraps it
yeah,
up for-
yeah.
What
So,
the?
happy-
Come on, bro.
Should we sing happy birthday to Kyle?
No.
Yeah.
My phone's on
Happy
3%.
birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Kyle.
Kyle.
Man.
I left him on an island, Kyle. And now Bipes is gonna say thank you. Happy birthday to
Oh,
you.
yeah.
Thank
Probably.
you.
Happy birthday, bud.
Another
Thank
year
you.
dumber.
Yep.
The Honda vote, I'm not sure
Thursday.
what they're voting on. Thursday?
It's happening. Whether
You know what?
it's
You know
going
what?
down. Yes or
This
no?
is-
We
this is-
out.
We're in 2024. They should just say, let's do it on the Chasin Tails podcast. We can have all the IRC members on here.
Apparently, that's not allowed on
2024.
bylaws. You're not allowed to be live. You're not allowed to do it with other people on. Like they talk about a clean slate that needs to be wiped right there.
Oh,
Just get rid of them bylaws.
Get rid of bylaws and some IRC members. I didn't say that.
just the quantity, not the actual people. We need to go down. What is the top board of
Well,
directors?
wait. Maybe wrap some up in a tarp, but other than that, yeah.
Yep. So, well, maybe we might have an IRC member on the podcast next week to talk about this Honda being passed. And if it doesn't get passed, then nobody's coming on.
No, you don't want to be on that episode.
We might not even
want to be on
that
that episode.
We might have to calm down a little bit. We got too many people counting on us in this thing. New guys, brand new boats, all this stuff.
Yeah. But so after the vote, passes or not, I think we're gonna already jump into a couple rule proposals that, well, at least one rule proposal that we're gonna put in for maybe two, put in for next year. Just get started on it right away. I mean, it's nothing that's going to affect it's not going to affect your engine, affect your boat, might affect where you race, but we're going to try to propose a couple rules or a couple changes because some of the stuff needs to.
Oh, we just saw the proofs in the pudding with H1 Unlimited. You got to kind of trim it up a little bit to be able to go in the direction you think the sport should go in. And obviously their direction is going to head in a good way, and hopefully we can make something happen. We'll see. Chasin Tails is, I feel like, talking to our membership as much as we can. We don't hide anything. We don't sugarcoat anything. Obviously, we've been doing this for a long time and are passionate about it, just like Darrell Strong just said. I mean, and when you're in this deep, you just got to keep going. You're either going to dig the hole deeper or you're going to dig your way out. That's it.
I usually dig the hole deper.
That's what your wife. And we all that are married know that feeling. Austin, wrap it up for us because I'm going to stop talking.
I'm in trouble right now because I didn't
agree.
What
episode number it is, so I don't think that's a good idea.
I didn't agree to the yellow paint that she wants to use in our kitchen. And I said, yellow is ugly. We're not painting our kitchen yellow.
Yellow. Yeah, that was the biggest mistake I did. Our living room's yellow, and I hate it.
Yeah, I told her. I'm like, I don't like yellow.
Yeah. Sunflower. Ain't nobody need that.
Sorry, Jamie McClure. I know he's going to say something. You don't like yellow?
Yeah, pretty much. All right. Before we wrap it up, Elijah wants to know when you guys are doing the GP League on HydroTown.
I was actually just talking to TJ about that.
And before you get into that, Kyle Bipes wants to know where his steering wheel is.
Yeah.
He hasn't even commented it yet.
He does want to know, though. I'll put together a sign-up sheet right now.
There we go. Let's get it going. By next Tuesday, we'll have dates. Everybody comment if you even care about the HydroSim. What day of the week works? Obviously not a Tuesday night.
3-4 weeks ago, I said, Kyle Bipes, I need your address so I can send you the steering wheel. I still have not got his address. So there is no way you should even be asking for a wheel because I don't have your address. I know you sent it to me. I've been to your house. I just didn't save it.
Hey, it's okay. Paul Barber is still waiting for that link to pay his bill, and Kyle Bipes still ain't sending that. So it is what it is. Sometimes these people,
all right,
they're not.
Give me an address, Bipes. You'll get your wheel, and we'll start one in 2 weeks. 2 weeks. Right now, I'm way too swamped to start it.
You could just send it to the Madison Regatta office. I'll get it. It's on Google.
If it's going to the office and it's addressed to Kyle Bipes, it will have a blank ship return label, and there will be other things in there from when they open it.
Send it in a T-shirt box with a bunch of things and to River City.
I have to get on Amazon. I have to go to Amazon and order some things to throw in there, and I'm just going to ship it. They're going to be like, we don't know what this is. There's a steering wheel with all this other stuff.
Yeah, don't take that one to the UPS store. But all right. Let's wrap it up. It's episode 41. What a great talk with Darrell Strong and Corey. Their live stream is going to be pretty cool to watch.
For sure.
Sports in good hands. Dude, I was talking, and I'm wrapping it up.
Hey, did you notice Austin has a Vespa? A Vespa? Look at it. Look up in the light.
Oh, he does.
He has a Vespa.
Wow. You got a lot of stuff in there. Hey,
Yeah.
come on now. There you go. All right. What I said was it's episode 41. We appreciate you watching Chasin Tails. Like, follow, subscribe, and we'll be back in next week or whenever we're back. We'll let you know.
Sweet. I don't have to hit Bob.